What's up, Rumble? The Morgue out here. This is going to be my my first Rumble exclusive video. Just a couple things I wanted to talk about, man, that you can't really say certain things on YouTube, and I've heard that Rumble, they're not going to ban you for telling the truth, whereas YouTube certainly will. They'll damn sure shadow ban you. But we'll go ahead and call this one Transpocalypse 2023. So I was going through some of the stuff that's been going on with the LA podcast comedy networks, right? So I guess you could say the circle around Rogan. You got the Brendan Schaubs, you got the Bobby Lees, the Brian Callens. And something that really caught my attention was the Bobby Lee situation, because I've always liked the stuff of Bobby Lee that I've seen. He seems like a funny guy. He seems like a genuinely decent person deep down. I mean, who isn't fucked up these days in some way? Funny guy, seems genuine. Long and short of it is, if you're not familiar, within the last 6 months or so, went through a pretty nasty breakup with this quote-unquote woman that he's been with for like a decade or something. And you can tell dude's heartbroken. This woman was just absolutely brutal, man. Like,
we don't have babies, but we've killed 2.
Wait, really?
Yeah, Kala I've been asking her for fucking 12 hours a day, every day. It's like I've been asking, I go, can we have a baby? And she's like, not with you. We have 7 animals. We live together. Her niece lives with us. We're a family.
I would have fucking turkey basted myself with his fucking sperm, which I would have secretly.
So that really is, that's hurtful, because we killed 2 babies.
I am not the one.
if you look at some of her poetry from the past, man, it's dark. But I'm just going to come out and say it right now. In my opinion, that's a dude, bro. That is a quintessential Filipino tranny. Now, before we get into that, first of all, I'll say I don't really necessarily have anything against transgenders. I mean, to each his own. My dad's a fucking tranny, okay? Come out and say it. There's a soft spot in my heart for the whole transpocalypse. Now, let's get into that a little bit. Believe it or not, for a long time now, especially in like Hollywood, there's role reversals. There's secret transgenders posing as the opposite sex on the big screen. In my opinion, this goes back as far as like Lucille Ball, in my opinion, definitely a man, all the way to Madonna, a man. And it goes the other way too. You've got FTM trannies, and of course you've got your drag queens, right, that are just totally obvious, like your RuPaul's, where you can take one look at them and you know they're a tranny. My dad would be like of the RuPaul variety, right? He's like not going to pass as a woman. I really haven't spoken to my dad in over 20 years, man, since that incident down in Florida. But, you know, the whole persona that the LGBTQ likes to portray, that it's all innocent and they just like to do weird sexual stuff and they're very proud of it, but they're sweet people and they wouldn't hurt a fly. You know, my dad was very emotionally and mentally and sometimes borderline physically abusive as well, especially when he would drink. So I saw a side of transgenderism that it's not all beds of roses, right, man? It's really not. I mean, it was fucking crazy. And then I was never really super close with my dad, but to have like your dad and even your grandparents, while they were still living at the time, telling me that it really pissed my dad off for me to call him dad and I needed to call him Lisa from now on. Like, I'm not going to get on board with that. And, and when I say my dad was crazy growing up, I don't just mean regular run-of-the-mill stuff, but like, just as an example that I give, when my brother and I were little, if my dad was watching the Redskins football game on TV, loved his football and drinking them beers. Like if my brother or I walked in front of the TV when, say, like the Redskins tried to kick a field goal and then they missed, it was literally our fault that they missed because he didn't see them kick it, and so we fucked up the game. And my dad's a really logical, smart person, but when he would drink, man, that shit goes out the window. And of course, he had been oppressing this whole drag queen shit, trying to raise some kids and keep a marriage together, which that didn't last very long. And so, you know, this just gives y'all a little background of where I'm coming from when I, like, if it seems like I have a vendetta against the whole transpocalypse thing, and it is a transpocalypse. I mean, it's way more widespread than one may like to admit to themselves. One thing I'll attest to is that most, if not all, of like the Victoria's Secrets models are actually dudes that have gone full-blown, transition surgery. You've got famous actors doing this. Sandra Bullock, definitely a man. I mean, there's tons of them. This is something that it affects our culture so deeply, and they've been doing this for so long. It's a very insidious form of mind control because what it does is it gives young women body image issues like body dysphoria, right? Men and women are built differently, right? The hormone replacement therapy definitely can change like rearrange the body fat dispersal on a person, but you can never change the underlying skeletal structure. And there's some pretty basic key things here that are just, human anatomy 101 type things. If you actually apply just basic human anatomy, skeletal structure, and apply that to these celebrities, I mean, it becomes very obvious once you know what to look for. At least for me, especially when it comes to the male to females, right? The Madonnas, the Sandra Bullocks, the Lucille Balls, and you could go on and on with them. As far as the FTMs, the female to males, in my opinion, it's more difficult to spot those, but when you do know what to look for, that actually becomes a little bit easier. But really, I mean, I can probably cut in some pictures of dudes that are buff looking dudes you'd never think in a million years that it was actually born as a female. Because, if you see big muscles on a dude with a beard, and a gruff looking dude, maybe with a deep voice, usually they've got kind of weird voices, but they do, from what I gather, they do the larynx, basically take a voice box from a cadaver and surgically implant that. And maybe they've got prosthetic stuff now that's plastic or whatever. They do all kinds of wild things, man.
Buck, so hey, congratulations on Crazy Bitches.
Right on.
What attracted you to a project like this in the first place?
Well, I'm going to be real here. I'm not an actor, but I'm a very good friend of Jane's. And so Jane asked me if I would play a part because I think also she really wants to be inclusive, and being a transsexual man, I think she wants to bring a trans character sort of in it, but I just think it was her being open to a more diverse cast and really wanting to include me, and it really makes me excited because it opens the door also for other trans actors to be brought into the business, because it's a very difficult thing. People don't hire trans people as much as. So I think Jane gave me the opportunity to sort of be in a place where I could show that, trans actors are important.
So you felt that you represented it well in this film?
Yeah, I mean, of course I'm going to be very critical of my acting, my friend. I sat in the back. I'm just like, no, I can't watch this. But no, I think it's all good. I think I'm an activist. That's my work in the world. So I think I always use things like this as activism. Visibility is important. Yeah.
So tell us about the character that Jane let you play.
So David, a gay man and a gay nutritionist. So I kind of start flirting with the other character, and then we just get it on. So again, a gay character, but I'm a trans man, but it's not really written into the script. But if people know my work, they'll know I'm a trans man. So there I am playing a gay man, but I could be a gay trans man. Who knows? But it was really.
Don't you love how they call what they're doing work? What attracted you to this role? Well, let's see. That's a woman who has turned itself into a dude that does porno. So I would think that what attracted to that role was going to be the fact that they were looking for a tranny for a porno, right? But you can tell with this guy here, this thing or whatever you want to call it, Buck Angel. I can understand why they would want to get that cadaver surgery, the voice box of a cadaver, because could you imagine walking around having to listen to that voice come out of your fucking head all day, every day? He sounds like the Lollipop Guild after a week on a meth pipe. Good God, what is this world coming to? Take a voice box from a cadaver and surgically implant that, and maybe they've got prosthetic stuff now that's plastic or whatever. But so they do all kinds of wild things, man. You can't change the skeletal structure, but they do have like jaw implants and these ridges brow ridge implants. I mean, they've got stuff they can do. Look at Beyonce faking her pregnancy, right? There you got that kind of thing too. Let me just say again, I don't necessarily have anything against trannies as long as they're honest about it. But if hypothetically, if someone is a tranny and tricking straight dudes into marrying them for the sole purpose of basically taking over their lives and gunning for things like conservatorships and getting their spouse put in mental hospitals and things like that, like insidious shit done by trannies, if that's going on, that's Filipino trannies.
I won't hit my dog. I don't hit anybody.
I got slapped in the face, by the way.
Who hit you in the face?
Kalila.
Like
backhanded my face.
Hard?
I have a new girl, guys. Can I tell you about her?
Please.
Yeah,
Please, Bobby.
Okay, I met her on Tinder, and she's half Filipino. The third night we went out, and she goes, I'm violent. She goes, I'm violent.
Wow.
I go, what does that mean? And she goes, and she didn't say anything. And then we made out some more, and she goes, I hate you. And she punched me in the face.
She really punched you in the face.
As hard as she could.
I was a huge cutter from the age of 15 through 19. And one of the reasons why I have the tattoo on my forearm is to cover the scars.
This big black blob is there because at 17, I lost a bet to a guy I had a crush on. And I tattooed his name on my wrist. Again, in Las Vegas. Poor life choices. And I had to tattoo over it 4 times.
I have real feelings for this girl, guys.
Okay.
But the violence is awful.
It sounds like how you're talking about her.
Why was violent? Is she crazy or she was molested?
Molested when I was 8 years old. I felt sudden, like an urge, like a sexual urge to do the same to either a pet, a doll, or a real person or a real child. And you know what? I hate to say it now, but like I took another cousin of mine. I was 8 and she was 6. And you know what I mean? It's like there were things that I would probably did that were highly inappropriate for an 8-year-old.
Yeah.
Because it was being done to me. I would collect my dogs had ticks, and when the ticks would suck up so much blood, it'll be all fat. So I'd get a magnifying glass and then put the tick under it until have the sun like sear through its skin until it would pop. So the tick would burst from.
Whoa.
So like with magnifying glass, like if the sun hits a magnifying
It got so dark.
Did you have sex with your brother?
Oh God. I possibly, but I did have sex with my stepbrother. He has since passed away. He killed himself. R.I.P. He was a very sweet boy. I had sex with a boy who I was told after I had sex with him that he could potentially be my brother. He does look like me. We're never going to do the DNA test because I don't think I'd be able to handle that.
Got it.
But there are whispers in the family because our families are very close.
Whoa.
And we sort of grew up together.
So a lot of Filipinos are related, though. Back to the original point.
Thank you.
That you said was racist.
Accepted.
So I don't want to know.
And this is like you met as adults, or this was during like a child thing?
No, we grew up together. His dad my dad and his grandpa were best friends in the Philippines. I don't know what they were doing in the 70s, if they were swapping partners, but somehow I have a family friend who looks exactly like me. And I had sex with him when I was 19 for a whole year. And then only later to find out through his grandma, she was like, wait, like, you know, there could be a chance. All the while, everyone's like, you guys look like each other. And we're like, yeah, that's what happens when people date. They end up looking like each other, but we really do look like each other.
I really want to see what
And
he looks like. I know.
Yeah,
Is that
dude.
bad?
and
Can we look at it?
worst of all is that like there was something about him, even though I found him attractive. You know, they say like you are like repulsed by your own like
pheromones.
DNA. It was not a pheromone match. I remember feeling like I didn't like the way he smelled. I didn't like the way a lot of things about him. But
Was that
I
like
like
a
went,
third world thing though?
I don't know. Wait, pheromones are a third world
No,
thing?
the way he smelled. Like, was there like a
gosh.
like
He
a?
was born and raised. He was. No.
Oh,
it's
do you have you spoken to him since?
Yeah.
Okay, another question. I've always wondered this. Was it like a Lego?
Oh, there's husband dick and then there's brother
Brother
dick.
dick?
Brother
Yeah,
dick.
brother
Like,
dick might be
Is it like
slight.
exactly the amount? Like, did you guys lock in and go, oh fuck, like
Yeah,
we are
like Avatar.
docked?
Yeah.
Honestly, he did kind of fuck like me.
He did fuck like you.
Yeah, a little bit.
In what way?
And I didn't like it. It just like there was a clashing of energies there. It wasn't because it wasn't a biological match. And I remember like, yeah, getting the feminine jingies after.
Did he also get on all fours after until you did?
Yes.
I ran you ragged to the gravel, fed you time for gold, held you closely so falsely, watched your ache unfold. You steered the reins as you were aptly told, not knowing you were headed for a stab, capture, and hold. I'm sorry, so sorry, for your heart I cajoled, and for thieving back all the things I sold. I'm an artist, a con, self-punished but paroled, a savvy saboteur, spoiling good to mold. For this I ask pardon, your good faith I have trolled. I know nothing of love but a dead winter's cold.
We don't have babies, but we've killed two.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I've been asking her for fucking 12 hours a day, every day. It's like I've been asking, I go, can we have a baby? And she's like, not with you. We have 7 animals. We live together. Her niece lives with us. We're a family.
I would have fucking turkey basted myself with his fucking sperm, which I would have secretly.
So that really is,
Yes.
that's hurtful because we killed 2 babies.
I am not the one who asked for an open relationship. And that's a fucking fact. The truth of that is I intercepted something alluding to Bobby and another woman in Hawaii. That is even how the conversation ended up to having an open relationship. I didn't instigate it. I didn't start it. I didn't cheat. Bobby can corroborate this story.
Because I never did anything like that in the 10 years. You know, I never looked at another girl.
Yeah.
Really, I was very like kind of loyal to her. You know what I mean?
There's
And
no flirtatiousness.
I never did any of that. I never hung out with girls. Really, no, I never did any of that.
Yeah, so I got my bachelor's in nursing from Cal State Long Beach.
Yeah.
And then when I met Bobby, he was like, are you sure you want to do that? And I'm like, are you trying to derail my life? Because my mom's about to stab you. Trying to tell her daughter not to become a nurse. I did nursing last minute because we were coming up on like financial hardships. So I was like, okay, let me just be quick with the nursing, get my nursing degree, get a job. Got the job.
I can't help but feel like if this is the nurses episode, perhaps the real nurse should take it away.
I'm not a real nurse, you guys.
Oh, we were talking about donut.
And I went to a Division I school. I got a full ride to UNLV. To
And
swim.
what sport was it?
Swimming.
It's the best thing.
Yeah.
Is like them.
Orphan's still a dream of mine.
Yeah, it would be cool.
It's like every girl's dream.
To marry orphan or be one?
Yeah, because then they just become like a male anglerfish. You almost just eventually you just bring them into your world so much because they don't have their own world that they just become an appendage. And then you fuse together.
That's really
but
romantic.
As a woman, as
Awesome.
a female anglerfish, you stay big and bright and you have the bulb over your head and he's just a little appendage
And
on
they
the side.
need you.
And they need you so much.
Dude, you and your fish analogies are so.
But that's just my dream.
I've met conniving people in real life, and the reason conniving people usually can go on for so long without anybody thinking they're conniving is because we as people just assume nobody is actually like a villain from TV. We just assume because most likely the people we've met in our life have all been kind of normal, or at least they're not so crazy that they're villains. I don't think Bobby is a true villain. I think he is a liar and a really messed up dude. Kalila, on the other hand, is
Filipino trannies.
I understand why there's so much interest in this. Even with all the other insane drama to come out of the LA comedy scene, nothing even comes close to this Bobby Lee and Kalila situation. It combines every aspect from every major controversy. From the alleged sexual assaults of D'Elia and Callan, to the terrible response to criticism of Shab.
As a matter of fact, I'll give you, any Tiger Belly listener, $2,000 of my own money if you find the IP address of this person. When I put out the whole, like, help me find who this guy is, most of the people was like, I don't want the money, but here's the guy who did it. So they gave me his information.
Hypothetically, if someone is a tranny and tricking straight dudes into marrying them for the sole purpose of basically taking over their lives and, gunning for things like conservatorships and getting their spouse put in mental hospitals and things like that.
You throw money at my tears, which is okay.
You know what? Okay, when you say that, it hurts my feelings.
Why?
Because what if we were poor? It would be more difficult.
If we were poor, Papa, we would be divorced because there's no way you know how to show me love.
What?
Because you throw money at my tears, and if we were poor, what would you throw at my tears?
Love.
Okay, anyways, let's move on.
What was that?
I love you. I love you,
Okay,
Papa.
I love you too.
Okay.
Just to give you some examples of the skeletal structure. So, human anatomy is for a reason, right? Our chromosomes at birth designate what sex you are. And sure, you have the rare, like less than 1% hermaphrodites and that sort of thing, but you're usually either born a male or a female, and no matter what you do, you're never going to change that. Now, you do have the phenomenon of what's called the castratos, right, which has been going on a long time, right? You got like soprano, alto, one of those types of things is castrato. The Italians were doing that apparently for a very long time. What it is where they actually take the prepubescent boys, they basically castrate them before they hit puberty and give them the equivalent of like testosterone blockers and estrogen enhancements to basically stop the puberty process.
Love you.
And what you wind up with is like your Britney Spears is very convincing trannies, man. You'd never guess in a million years, especially if you don't know what to look for, especially if you're a dude who you see a pretty face, right? An angular, pretty face with high cheekbones and the chiseled bone structure of the face, right? With big breasts and a nice firm ass and skinny arms. And, really most dudes don't look past the breasts in the pretty face, right? Pretty hair. But if you start to look deeper and you actually study human anatomy just a little bit, there's some telltale things that you start to learn what to look for. The one big thing is the Q angle. The Q angle is it's the ratio from like the hips down to the knees. So women, when they go through puberty, their pelvic area, their hips, is much wider. That's, of course, for childbirthing. You have to have room for the birth canal in the woman's hips, whereas the man doesn't have that. So a man's Q angle is like, straight up and down like a piece of lumber or a 2x4, basically. And the woman's figure is hourglass, voluptuous, right? So the fat distribution on a woman is different than the fat distribution on a man, but also the skeletal structure underneath is much more important. If you take a guy that's pretty young, or even especially before puberty, castrate them, give them the hormone replacement therapy very young, and then give them fake breasts and Brazilian butt lifts and the whole nine, and plastic surgery and tracheal shaves and that kind of thing. Voice box replacement. It's very hard to tell. But there's certain markers. So like on a woman, the belly button on a woman is going to be below the top of where the hourglass part of the hips comes up, right? On a man, the belly button is going to be way above the hips. And sure, you have spectrums on, and no two people are the same. Everybody's a little different, but there's guidelines. And the skull, the underlying skeletal structure of the skull is another thing where male and women's skulls are different. There's a lot, believe me, man, there's a lot of famous people that maybe a lot of y'all have had crushes on growing up that were definitely trannies. And what does that do to the young budding mind? Well, again, for women, it causes body dysphoria issues because she's got this weird, and this is in her mind, she's got this weird fat physique that doesn't match what the supermodels have. Your Cindy Crawfords and that, right? They've somehow, these supermodels all have lean muscle mass like a man, and they can allegedly give birth to a child. And then a couple months later be going to the beach in a swimsuit looking great. Your Pinks, right? I don't know if she has any kids, but there's another one. I mean, it is absolutely rampant, I promise. So, you have young women committing suicide because they can't get six-pack abs and a washboard six-pack abs and a straight up and down hip structure. That's not the trait of a woman. And I don't care how athletic. For the young men, I believe it's subconsciously giving young men a tendency towards homosexuality, and of course, same for the young women. It's fucking people up in the head, man. So let's circle back to Kalila Kuhn. So this crazy woman is a dude. That's the thing that Bobby and these guys don't seem to understand and probably never will. But I'm here to tell you that I'm sure 99% of y'all are going to think that I'm fucking crazy. But I'm here to tell you, man, I'm not a betting man, but in my opinion, I'd be willing to bet the fucking farm that that's a classic textbook tranny. For real. And that's fine. If... and really, the secret thing, to a degree, I guess I kind of get it, right? But the insidiousness, this person is also a psychopath as well, in my opinion. Definitely psychopathic tendencies, sociopathic tendencies. If you look at the poetry of the woman, just real dark, basically forecasting that she wants to manipulate vulnerable men and basically take over their lives and make them dependent on her and then chew them up and spit them out. That's where her poetry is going.
Yet in this very poem, which was published April 30th, 2014, long after Bobby and Kalila had gotten together, she describes the encounter which ultimately led to this abortion with the words recklessly drinking you in, which doesn't match up with the pre-cum description that Bobby gave us. She could have been referencing a prior abortion, but I've only been able to find clips of her talking about killing Bobby's children. And if you contrast the extreme lust present in this poem with how she describes her and Bobby's sex life in every other instance, it seems less and less likely that this was Bobby's kid to begin with. Given her propensity for sleeping around within relationships, I don't even think this is a minor stretch.
Okay, so I know what you're thinking, but you can't get pregnant if you're a tranny. Right. Well, the thing is, they would rather convince everyone that they're getting an abortion and to have everybody up in arms about how they can just basically murder their unborn children. They'd rather have that drama distracting from the fact that it was born a man, right? So the whole thing about the abortions is multi-pronged, right? So not only is it a front, it's a cover, it's a distraction from the truth, but also you can tell that this thing uses the abortions as leverage against Bobby to really poke needles into his soul, man, is what she's doing. Saying things like, well, I do want to have children one day, but just not by you. Pretty classic manipulation by a sociopathic tendency person. And when I say psychopath, what I mean specifically is that person's inability to register normal human emotions like empathy and things like that.
Hey, what's up, guys? We're in the store right now. Let's see if Beastie will roar right in the middle of the store.
I used to jerk off dogs a lot. But this isn't like a known thing. When I was younger, I learned from an older cousin.
Oh.
I'm really into this.
Because it's going to be Bobby or it's going to be you?
Well, no, like I have 3 dogs now, and on our downtime, I'm going to admit something that is not one of my...
Slow down.
In the Philippines, they don't neuter their dogs. So I jerked off Rolly to completion.
How did you know at 8 what that was?
She goes on Dr. Drew talking about she used to masturbate dogs to completion when she was 8. Weird. Dr. Drew's like, well, how did you know about that when you were 8, right? Well, I'll tell you how it knew about that when it was 8. Go figure it out, right? If his heart was in the right place and it was actually from a place of love, you can kind of forgive the secret thing if they were really genuinely a decent person, but this is a predatory thing. This person was a predator. Tried to have Bobby Lee locked up in a psych ward when he was supposed to be going to drug rehab, it appears. Also, it appears that she was masterminding a bunch of like hate and doxing and death threats and stuff on subreddit against Brendan Schaub, right? And I'm no big fan of Brendan Schaub. The dude's not that funny and he's not a great fighter or anything. I wouldn't fuck with him. Yeah, he's got his hangups too, but to like secretly set up fucking hate campaigns on Reddit against somebody that's supposed to be a good friend of your husband, that's a fucked up thing to do, right? So in my opinion, the big thing that Bobby and these guys are missing is that this chick's a dude, man. It's a tranny. Ew. Now, I'll also say, I don't know Bobby Lee personally. He's got some of the markers of an FTM, but I don't think he is. I really don't. Maybe he is. But a lot of it's in the hands, man. In the hands, the skeletal structure of the hands. These models that are trannies, these big, giant fucking hands, man. Like baseball mitts, dude. Women's hands are really usually pretty stubby little hands, man. I mean, women have pretty hands and feet, but it's about proportions, man. I mean, like I said, when you know what to look for, it becomes obvious. So just wanted to get that out there. Share this with your friends. Maybe post it up where Bobby Lee might find it, because I think that if he's fallen prey to one of these things already, he is a prime target, you know, somebody with a lot of money that's vulnerable, insecure about themselves. You got to be careful, man. You can't just fall in love with a pair of boobs and a pretty face, because this day and age, and really it's not so much even this day and age, my research tells me that synthetic estrogen was synthesized in the 1930s. They've been doing that at least since then. But I think before then, I think that maybe because, you know, with satanic abuse and satanic rituals, there's blood drinking too. And if they were transgendering people before the synthesized hormones came out, right? Hormone replacement therapy came out. Maybe they were getting through drinking raw blood of the opposite sex. I don't know. That's just a theory of mine, but they've definitely been doing the castrato thing. Look at Cher. Cher's a dude too, bro. I'm sorry to say, for sure. You know, don't just believe me, man. I'm just some crazy dude sitting in his car recording a video, which I'll probably edit and put some nice sparkly things in here, so at least it's somewhat presentable. But it's fucked up, man, and my heart goes out to Bobby and them. I think he went through a very traumatic experience, but I think he also needs to check his inner circle, because these things run in groups, man. Watch out for the Transpocalypse. Filipino trannies.
Ice cream so good. Thank you, Lopez. Slay, huh? Ice cream so good. Ice cream so good. Yes, 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 yes. Ooh, yes, 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 yes. Yes, yes, yes. Take you, Blake. Take you, Jace. Gang, gang. Take you, George. Take you, I don't know. Take you, Tay. Take you, I am. Ooh, ooh. Yes, yes, yes. Gang, gang. Yes, 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 yes. Gang, gang. Yes, yes, yes.
It would be cool.
It's like every girl's dream.
To marry an orphan or be one?
Yeah, because then they just become like a male anglerfish. You almost just eventually you just bring them into your world so much because they don't have their own world that they just become an appendage. And then you fuse together.
That's really
but
romantic.
As a woman, as
Awesome.
a female anglerfish, you stay big and bright and you have the bulb over your head and he's just a little appendage
And
on
they
the side.
need you.
And they need you so much.
Dude, you and your fish analogies are so good.
So with that, I think we're going to wrap this one up, you guys. Thanks so much for watching and sticking in with me towards the end. Just a couple of housekeeping items. This is my first Rumble exclusive video. So if you'd like to support our channel efforts, you can do Patreon, Cash App, and PayPal. Once again, I had some issues with PayPal for a minute. My PayPal account is back up and running as of this week. And the keyword on all of those is the Morgile. I'll put links in the description, but so it's paypal.me/the Morgile, cash.app $the Morgile, Venmo.com/the Morgile, and patreon.com/the Morgile. With that, God bless you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you in the next video. Toodles.